Amara Mensah was only 26, but she felt like she had already found her forever. Living in Accra, Ghana, she had spent months carefully planning every single detail of her dream wedding with her fiancé, Kofi Adu. It wasn't just about dresses and decorations for her. It meant something deeper. The date they chose, June 14th, was her late father's birthday. He had passed away years ago, and this was her way of honoring him, of feeling like he would still be there with her on the most important day of her life. Everything was falling perfectly into place. The venue was beautiful, the invitations were elegant, and Amara could already imagine herself walking down the aisle, smiling through tears. For the first time in a long time she felt truly happy and at peace. Then one evening her older sister Mensah came home with big news. She was engaged. Amara was genuinely excited for her. She hugged her, laughed with her, and even started talking about how amazing it would be to plan weddings together. But that happiness didn't last long. In the middle of a casual conversation, mentioned her wedding date, June 14th. Amara froze. She actually laughed at first, thinking it had to be a joke. "Wait, my date?" she asked, still smiling, expecting to laugh too. But didn't. Instead, she calmly pulled out her phone and showed her the booking confirmation. The same date. The same day. No confusion. Amara's chest tightened as the truth sank in. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't a mistake. Her own sister hadn't just picked a random date. She had taken the one thing that meant the most to her. And in that moment, Amara realized something was very, very wrong. The worst part for Amara wasn't just the wedding date. It was the feeling she had felt her whole life coming back all at once. Because deep down, she knew this wasn't the first time had taken something that belonged to her. Growing up in Kumasi, it had always been like this. Was the older sister, the louder one, the one everyone noticed first. At family gatherings, people would crowd around praising her looks, her confidence, her achievements. Amara would just stand there quietly, smiling, waiting for someone to notice her too, but most of the time they didn't. And whenever something good came Amara's way, somehow, would end up right in the middle of it. If Amara made a new friend, would charm them and suddenly they'd become closer to her instead. If Amara shared an idea or a plan, would take it, improve it a little and present it like it was hers. It wasn't always obvious, but it happened enough times that it started to hurt. What hurt even more was their mother, Akojua Mensah. Every time Amara tried to speak up to explain how she felt, her mother would brush it off like it was nothing. "You're overthinking," she would say. "That's your sister. Don't create problems where there are none." It made Amara question herself, like maybe she really was just being too sensitive. So she learned to stay quiet, to let things go, to keep her feelings to herself. But standing there now, staring at that wedding confirmation on Ya's phone, all those memories came rushing back. Every ignored feeling, every moment she stayed silent, every time something was taken from her. It all led to this. This wasn't just about a date. This was years of being overlooked, pushed aside and made to feel like she didn't matter. But this time felt different, because Amara wasn't that quiet little girl anymore. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't willing to just let it go. Amara didn't stay quiet this time. The next day she gathered the courage and confronted her family. Her heart was racing, but she told herself this was her moment to finally speak up. She explained everything, how much that date meant to her, how it was connected to their father, and how hurt she felt that had taken it without even talking to her. For a second she really believed someone would understand. But the reaction she got completely broke her. Her mother, Akojua Mensah, didn't even hesitate. She looked at Amara calmly and said, "It's just a date. Why are you making this such a big deal? You're the younger one. You should be the bigger person." Amara felt like the ground shifted under her feet. Just a date? That one sentence made all her emotions feel small, like they didn't matter at all. Then the rest of the family joined in. Aunties, uncles, even cousins started giving their opinions. "Don't create drama in the family," one said. "People will talk," another added. "It's not worth fighting your sister over this." Instead of asking to change her date, everyone expected Amara to sacrifice hers. Felt so unfair. Even Kofi, the one person she thought would stand fully by her side, gently suggested they could postpone the wedding. He held her hand and said, "Maybe we can pick another date, just to keep peace in the family." That hurt the most. Amara pulled her hand back slowly, trying to hold in her tears. It felt like she was standing alone in a room full of people who were supposed to love her. Because to them it really was just a date. But to Amara it was never just about a date. It was about being seen, being respected, being valued for once in her life. And in that moment she realized something painful but clear. If she didn't stand up for herself now, she never would. Amara spent the next few days in a whirlwind of emotions. She couldn't eat properly, couldn't sleep, and every little thing reminded her of the wedding that should have been hers. The excitement she had felt just a week ago had turned into a heavy weight pressing down on her chest. Friends called, asking if she was okay, and Kofi tried to cheer her up, but nothing seemed to work. Finally, after long hours of thinking and silently crying, Amara made a choice that shocked everyone. She canceled her wedding. She called the venue, sent messages to guests, and slowly the reality sank in. Her phone buzzed constantly with confused and disappointed messages. Some friends tried to convince her to reconsider, while family members looked at her like she had gone mad. Ya, of course, was thrilled. She smiled triumphantly and started telling everyone how she had won again. To her and the rest of the family, it looked like Amara had given up, like she had finally accepted being second best. The whispers of gossip spread quickly. Amara canceled because she couldn't compete. Ya really is the star of this family. But what no one realized, what Ya never suspected, was that Amara wasn't stepping back out of weakness. She wasn't defeated. Instead, she was quietly turning her disappointment into fuel. In the silence of her cancelled wedding, she began to think bigger than any wedding could ever be. She started imagining an event that would not just bring people together but make a real impact, something meaningful that reflected who she truly was. While everyone else celebrated what they thought was her failure, Amara was plotting something far grander. She smiled to herself for the first time in days, a small, secret smile. Ya thought she had stolen the spotlight, but Amara knew that the real moment, the moment where she would finally reclaim her power, was just beginning. Sometimes, giving up on what people think you want is the first step to creating something far greater than anyone imagined. And that's exactly what Amara was about to do. Amara didn't let the disappointment of her cancelled wedding break her completely. Instead of spending the days after canceling crying or feeling sorry for herself, she decided to channel all that frustration and energy into something powerful, something that mattered. She wanted to turn her pain into purpose, and slowly, a bold idea began to form in her mind. She called her closest friend, Nana Kojo, someone she knew could help make impossible things happen. Nana was excited when Amara explained her plan. "Let's do something unforgettable," he said. "Something that will actually change lives." Together they started working in secret, keeping it hidden from everyone, including Ya and the rest of the family. Amara decided to organize a big charity gala to support girls' education across Ghana. She imagined a night filled with elegance, influence, and inspiration, where people would come not just to enjoy themselves, but to contribute to a cause that could truly make a difference. She spent hours drafting invitations, reaching out to prominent business leaders, media personalities, and high-profile guests. Every detail mattered, from the event's theme to the menu, to the speeches that would inspire change. What made it even sweeter in Amara's mind was the timing. She planned the gala on the same night as Ya's wedding, not out of spite, but to show that true impact and respect can't be bought or stolen. While Ya was focused on extravagance and appearances, Amara wanted to create something meaningful, something that would make people talk for the right reasons. Nana and Amara worked late into the nights, calling contacts, negotiating sponsorships, and coordinating every little detail. Slowly, the event started taking shape. Invitations were accepted by powerful figures across Accra, and buzz began to build quietly on social media. Amara smiled each time she thought about it. Nobody suspected a thing. Ya believed she had won by stealing a date, but Amara knew she was about to outshine her in a way that no one could ignore. For the first time in years, she felt excitement and hope bubbling through her. This wasn't revenge. This was her power, her voice, and her moment to rise. By the time June 14th arrived, Amara's secret plan would turn into a night that no one in Accra would forget. The night of June 14th finally arrived, and Accra was alive with energy. It was the night everyone had been waiting for, at least for two very different reasons. On one side of town, Ya's wedding sparkled with luxury. The hall was decorated with glittering lights, towering floral arrangements, and tables full of expensive food. Guests in stunning outfits laughed and danced, and at first glance it seemed perfect. But something was quietly wrong. Important friends and family members were missing, and there was a strange emptiness in the air that even Ya's confident smile couldn't hide. Meanwhile, across the city, a different kind of excitement was brewing. Amara's charity gala was in full swing, and it was buzzing with energy that felt real, warm, and inspiring. The room was full of people who came not for show, but because they believed in the cause. Cameras flashed as business leaders, media personalities and influential guests mingled, applauding speeches about empowering girls through education. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter, hope and genuine admiration. People couldn't stop talking about it. Social media exploded with posts, photos and videos from the gala. Hashtags praising Amara's initiative started trending, and within hours her event was everywhere online. People shared clips of her opening speech, the smiles of the students she was helping and the elegance of the night. Everyone seemed to sense that this was more than an event, it was a statement. Meanwhile, whispers about the gala began reaching Yas' wedding. Guests were checking their phones, seeing the posts and comparing the two events. Yas' once glittering night suddenly felt smaller, quieter and less important than she had imagined. Amara, watching everything unfold from her gala, felt a quiet satisfaction. She wasn't just competing, she was creating something that mattered. The night was no longer about stolen dates or family drama. It was about making a difference, standing tall and finally taking the spotlight on her own terms. And for the first time in years she knew she was winning without even trying to fight. As the night went on, it became impossible to ignore what was happening. Across Accra, everyone was talking about Amara's charity gala. Social media was on fire. Videos, photos and posts celebrating her elegance, intelligence and generosity kept popping up. People weren't just impressed by the event itself, they were inspired by the message behind it. Comments flooded in praising her for using her moment to make a real difference in the lives of girls across Ghana. It wasn't just an event, it was a movement and Amara was at the center of it. Meanwhile, at Yas' wedding the atmosphere began to shift. Guests were scrolling through their phones, some whispering to each other about the gala happening across town. "Did you see this?" one asked, showing a live video of Amara's speech. "She's amazing," another said. The excitement and admiration that were supposed to be reserved for Yas' big day suddenly felt divided. Ya noticed the changes too. The laughter at her wedding seemed a little quieter, the room a little less full of energy, and she couldn't help but overhear snippets of conversations comparing the two events. Yas' confidence started to falter. She had spent so long trying to outshine Amara, believing that taking the wedding date would make her the star. But now she was realizing something she hadn't expected. The spotlight she thought she had stolen was slowly slipping away, shining instead on the sister she had tried to overshadow. Amara, from the stage at her gala, felt a mix of pride and calm satisfaction. She hadn't fought with words or anger. She had created something meaningful that no one could take away from her. Every laugh, every applause, every viral post was proof that her moment had arrived. By the end of the night it was clear to everyone. The attention, admiration and respect weren't on Ya anymore. They were on Amara. She had transformed a stolen date into an opportunity to shine brighter than anyone could imagine, and in doing so she had taken control of her story in a way that no one, not even her sister, could touch. By the time the gala was winding down, Ya's celebration across town was starting to feel smaller and emptier. The whispers at her wedding had grown louder, and the glances at phones became harder to ignore. Ya's carefully planned night of grandeur suddenly felt hollow compared to the excitement and admiration pouring in for Amara's event. For the first time, Ya sat down and really looked at what had happened. She was frustrated, embarrassed, and if she was honest, a little stunned. She had thought taking the wedding date would secure her victory, make her the center of attention and finally prove she was better. But instead of competing head-on, Amara had quietly done something far bigger. She hadn't fought her sister on Ya's terms. She hadn't tried to outshine her with flowers, dresses, or fancy decorations. She had created something meaningful, powerful, and impossible to ignore. A gala that changed lives and captured the hearts of everyone watching. Ya felt a sinking realization. She had underestimated her sister. All the attention she had expected to command had shifted effortlessly, naturally, to Amara. People weren't just noticing Amara. They were admiring her. They were praising her courage, her intelligence, and her generosity. And there was nothing Ya could do to take that back. In that moment, Ya understood a truth she hadn't wanted to face. Outshining someone isn't about stealing what belongs to them. It isn't about copying or competing over dates or events. True impact comes from creating something that matters, something that reflects who you are, and Amara had done exactly that. Ya's wedding, no matter how lavish, suddenly felt like a performance. Amara's gala, on the other hand, felt alive, real, and unforgettable. She had turned a stolen date into an opportunity to show the world her strength and vision. As Ya looked at her sister's pictures trending online, a quiet, reluctant respect settled in. Amara hadn't fought to take the spotlight, she had earned it in a way that no one could deny. And for the first time, Ya realized that her sister had always been capable of far more than she had ever imagined. Amara stood on the stage at her gala, her heart pounding but her mind clear. The lights shone down on her, the cameras flashed, and hundreds of eyes were on her. Not because of who she was related to or what she had lost, but because of what she had built with her own hands. She took a deep breath and began to speak, her voice steady and full of emotion. "I want to thank everyone here tonight," she said, "for believing in the power of education, for believing in the potential of every girl in Ghana. This evening isn't just about one event, it's about resilience, about rising above challenges, and about creating opportunities where there were none." As she looked out at the audience, Amara felt a sense of calm she hadn't known in weeks. This wasn't about proving anything to her sister, or showing the world that she could outshine someone. This was about proving to herself that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. She realized that true victory didn't come from revenge, from one-upping someone, or from being the center of attention. It came from growth, from independence, and from reclaiming your own identity, even when the world tries to overshadow you. She shared her story honestly, telling them about the challenges she had faced, the moments of hurt, and the times she felt invisible. She spoke about the importance of standing up for yourself, of believing in your worth, and of using setbacks as fuel to rise higher than you ever thought possible. Each word was met with applause, smiles, and nods of understanding. For Amara, the applause wasn't the reward. The real victory was the feeling inside her, the knowledge that she had turned betrayal into opportunity, disappointment into purpose, and pain into power. She had taken a moment that could have broken her and transformed it into a night that inspired people, changed lives, and lifted her higher than she had ever been. As she stepped down from the stage, the lights dimmed behind her and the cheers continued. Amara finally understood. She hadn't just reclaimed a night, she had reclaimed herself. And that was worth more than any stolen date, any wedding, or any spotlight. Months later, Amara finally married Kofi, but this time it was on her terms. The wedding was quiet, beautiful, and full of love. Instead of trying to impress everyone or compete with her sister, she surrounded herself with people who truly cared about her, who celebrated her for who she was, not for appearances or family drama. The flowers, the music, the laughter, it all felt genuine, warm, and perfect in a way she had never experienced before. Her relationship with her family had changed forever. Some distance remained and some wounds couldn't be undone. But Amara didn't mind anymore. She no longer needed their approval, their praise, or their validation. She had discovered that her worth wasn't tied to anyone else's opinions. Standing beside Kofi, smiling at friends and loved ones, she realized how far she had come. The girl who once lost her spotlight to her sister had learned something powerful. She didn't need to compete to shine. She had created her own stage, built it with patience, courage, and vision, and this time, no one could take it from her. For Amara, it wasn't just a wedding. It was a new beginning, a celebration of herself, her love, and the life she had chosen to lead. And finally she felt completely free.